And I think we are now live. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Aero League Racing Esports League. We're here for Lago Maggiore for season 4, round 4. This is Lobby B, of course. My name is Nathan, your commentator for this evening and the rest of the season. And now we are live. Apologies, I was talking to myself for the last 5 minutes thinking we were live. It said I was live, but I haven't been live. So to repeat the intro, welcome to Lago Maggiore here in the lake of Maggiore in the beautiful country of Italy. We have, or should have, 14 drivers tonight in this lobby. Just waiting for 2 more drivers, one of whom I know is on the way, the other I am not so sure about. I am just trying to find out if we are getting a third Spider GT entry tonight. Because it would be a shame if he doesn't. Hello, welcome to everyone who is just tuning in. Let's get some cars out on track. That's what you're here to see. And then we can get a little bit into the qualifying session and a bit about the track as well. But if you didn't see last week's race at Autopolis, I highly recommend that you go and check it out. Lots of on-track action over at Lobby B for a track that doesn't promote too much overtaking. There aren't many obvious overtaking corners for that track. But it did promote, or it did end up being a great race. Looks like we might have a little bit of a delay to qualifying, but hopefully we can get underway pretty soon. I think we were just waiting for Auto to join back. I think he had the wrong livery or something not added onto his livery. Someone is just joining. Is that the driver we need? Yes, it is. Well, we've got 13 drivers out on track at the minute. I think we are supposed to be waiting for one more, but we haven't heard anything from the Spider GT drivers, so we will be set to begin qualifying soon. 10 minutes in order to decide which drivers gets promoted to Lobby A, which ones stay here in Lobby B. And yeah, so we are going to be starting qualifying in about 10 to 20 seconds. Just make sure the drivers are on the correct tyres that they'd like to enter the qualifying session on. Of course, it is equal conditions, so I imagine that everyone will be going on to the fastest soft compound tyre in order to set their fastest laps of the evening. There we go. Let's get this qualifying session underway for 10 minutes here at Lago Maggiore. You know what I've just thought of, actually? I was going to do the intro in Italian, and because I restarted the stream, I completely forgot. Apologies. Maybe you'll get some Italian from me later on in the stream. But cars are now leaving the pit lane one by one to get themselves out onto the racetrack. and to set their fastest lap times of the session. We should be aiming or looking to see drivers in the 1 minute 53s from what I've heard, maybe the 1:54s as well. Lap times around the circuit have definitely gotten quicker over the past few months and years of this track being in the game, with different handling models, etc. So we'll just wait and see what these drivers are able to put in. Reminder that the top 15 drivers that set their, or the top 15 drivers in terms of lap time across both Lobby A and Lobby B will be in Lobby A, and then the rest will be in Lobby B. Of course, there's more points for winning Lobby A than there is in Lobby B, so every driver is aiming to try and get themselves into Lobby A in order to score the maximum number of points for their team to qualify for the final 2 races of the season. We've got a couple of new drivers joining us in Lobby B that haven't been with us for the beginning couple of races. We've got Yannick, who's actually the first driver out on circuit at the minute. He is racing for Project Racing United this week, leading the way out on track, running a little bit wide onto the curb. Would be a little bit embarrassing to crash on an outlap. But an outlap, I guess, is the best lap to crash on, as opposed to a flying one. We've got Latari as well in 7th place, out on the track, getting a little bit caught up, I think, on the inside curb. He's racing for Team Apex tonight, so let's see what he can do. And yeah, his first race, but the drivers now starting their flying laps, and Ramster was so quick last week to get himself into Lobby A, so I think it's fair that we ride on board with one of our drivers from Lobby A. Tucked up nicely behind in the Porsche, of course, will be hindering him through the corners, but he's going to get a nice tow down this back straight. The run down between turn 3 and turn 4. Turn 4 and turn 5. He's caught up nicely to the back with the Porsche, uses some of the curb available to him on the outside. Yannick almost defending the inside, thinking almost under racing conditions here in qualifying, but Ramster using all of the inside curb through the S's. Gets a little bit of a tank slapper on as well. I think he's caught the Porsche a bit too much on this lap and might be going for an overtake down the back straight. Indeed, they are going to be side by side. Let's ride on board with Owen Williams behind, who's got a great view of these two cars in front of them, battling it out into the banked hairpin at turn 11. But the Brit using some of the curb on the inside. I think you can afford to take a little bit more. You don't get track limits down at turn 11 unless you completely cut over onto the inside. But Owen using all the curb available once again on the inside to get the shortest run up to the next corner. Lets the car drift wide onto the outside curb early on the throttle, keeps it nice and tight to the apex on the inside. The Porsche's he's caught up to the back of the Porsche in front, nearly pushing the Porsche through the final corner, gets a bit of a tank slapper on the exit, and then decides to dive into the pits. Ramster sets the banker time of a 1:55.4, but of course had to make an overtake on that lap, and Iggy goes 1.4 seconds clear, now a 10th clear of Auto, 54.0. So close to getting into the 53s, and so close is the gap between the two drivers on the front row of the grid. Luigi just behind with a 54.1 for the Spider GT team. Anomina going into 4th place, and Latari into the top 5. Ryan with a 2:16. I think he can improve on that on his next lap time as Thunderdome goes up into the top 5 with his best efforts so far. And I think that's Owen sat in the pit lane just trying to get a little bit of clean air to the rest of the drivers now in front of him. But what cars do I think will perform here tonight? I didn't have the 4GT on my radar, although there are 3 relatively long straights where the 4GT can shine, this being one of them. The run from turn 10 down to turn 11 I didn't quite catch Iggy's sector split, but he's caught up to the back of Yannick, who is currently running in 9th place. Up through the SSK, and this isn't going to be helping Iggy on his lap time. He might just abort it. He's 2/10 down. What about Auto through the middle sector? He's nearly a 10th up in the Audi R8. In the last 2 races he's been in Lobby B, but this week he's looking to get himself into Lobby A. And can he drag that Audi R8 to set a lap time good enough for the top 15? Let's have a watch of him through the final corner. We're on board as he drags the car all the way out wide, uses that curb on the outside. Some drivers use it, some drivers don't, but across the line does improve in his lap time, and is only 2,000ths of what was provisional pole position, but is now 3.5 tenths behind our new pole sitter, Luigi, who's into the 53, so the first driver to do so. A couple of drivers making their way through the final corner. Ryan's one of them in the Lamborghini. Where can the Belgian put himself up into 8th place, improves by 20.6 seconds, but is still 1.7 seconds off of the fastest time so far. Wack is on an out lap, and Owen is on a flying lap, having found a little bit of clear air out on the racetrack, with just 3.5 minutes left to go in the qualifying session, and Owen finds himself down in 11th place. Let's ride on board in the cockpit of the Porsche. Uses all of that curb available to him on the outside of turn 5. Powering his way through the gears, preparing for the S's section. The complex of turn 6, 7 and 8 gets a little bit wide. Snap of oversteer on the exit of turn 6. That's going to compromise his exit speed down the back straight. But let's have a look at his middle sector now. Of course, we're not going to get a delta because he hasn't set a lap time yet, not one that he's fairly happy with. But down the hill, heavy braking in towards turn 11. Look at the banking on the inside. The car rotating nicely for him on the apex before going back up the hill, climbing his way through the gears and into sector 3. The Aero GT driver will be looking to try and get himself into Lobby A, as he did so. As he narrowly missed out on last week. But the Brit has only got one more corner to navigate. Through the final corner, it's a relatively long run up to the line. A good exit is key and can determine how good your next lap is as well. Up to the line for Owen, it's a 1:54.1, and that's good enough for a space inside the top 4 as Auto just comes out of the pit behind him. And Nomina's on an out lap. There's another driver up to the line. That's Hollywood that now goes up into 4th place. That's a great lap from the Apex driver. But the margins between these drivers in the top 5 are so close and so narrow. We could see some big names being denied of an opportunity into Lobby A. Wack goes into the top 10 with a 54.8. A lot of drivers now making their way through the first sector on what could be their final lap, depending on where they are on the circuit. We've only got 1 minute left to go. Lugi's going to have an opportunity to do another lap, and he's 1.5 tenths purple through sector 2. Currently the fastest driver out on the circuit and going even quicker through the middle sector, lagging his way through turn 11 before climbing the hill up through turn 12 and 13 in towards the sector 3 split, and he's still going quicker, not by much. I think the grip on those soft compound tyres are beginning to fade, as he has not yet made a pit stop in this qualifying session, but is still improving despite the wear to those tyres. Spider GT continue to field a driver that is set to potentially make another appearance in Lobby A. Can Lugi go even quicker? No, he can't. Lost 4 tenths through the final sector. What about Iggy in the run up to the line? Is going to have Not enough time to start another lap, but that doesn't matter because he improves the provisional pole with a 53.7, 400ths clear of Luigi. Owen goes into the top 3. What about Hollywood for Team Apex? Can he improve? No, he can't. He misses out by a 10th. Ryan's up to the line, doesn't improve, nor does Anomina. They stay 8th and 6th respectively. Who are the other drivers yet to cross the line? We've got Whack with a 1.5 second time penalty rounding the final corner and damage to the front left of his car. He won't be improving as he crosses the line. We got Knockback in 12th. He improves in his lap time, but not his position. And Thunderdome cruises across the line in 11th place. And that is everyone, I believe, who has completed a lap. Is that another driver? No, so we've got Ramster still making his way through the middle sector. He's in 7th place and 6/10 off provisional pole. But he's improving by 2/10 up the hill and down towards turn 14. The Dane pushing to try and get himself into Lobby A. But the grid is very close for the drivers in front of him on the leaderboard. He's going to have to find time through this final corner if he's to promote himself into the top 3. Up to the line, what's it going to be for Ramster? It's a 54.2 and only goes up into 6th place, but it's only 5/10 off provisional pole. There is one more driver, and it's Luigi, who's not going to cross the line with a lap time quicker than his 53.7, but crosses the line in 2nd place nevertheless, and 1,000th quicker than Owen. Only 400 separating the top 3. It is very close between the front runners. I think we might have someone just missing out on a lobby A, on a spot in lobby A, and it could be by the smallest of margins. We are just waiting for the clock to hit 0. But the slowest lap time in Lobby A is a 54.2. Ramster also setting a 54.2. And so there we have it. Qualifying is over. Here is your result then for Lobby B. It's Iggy who has set the fastest lap time with a 53.7. Luigi in 2nd place and Owen just 400ths off of the fastest lap time. Then comes Auto in 2nd place. Hollywood in 5th. Ramster in 6th. Anomina in 7th. Ryan in 8th. Latari in 9th, Whack in 10th, Thunderdome in 11th, Knockback in 12th, and Yannick in 13th. So by the looks of it, I think only the top 3 might have made the cut into Lobby A. We will wait for confirmation, of course, onto who has made it into the Lobby A. But before then, let's talk a little bit about this track. Of course, not much to say, being a fictional circuit, but the Autodrome Lago Maggiore is a fictional circuit that first appeared in a Gran Turismo Sport. A 5.8 kilometre circuit composed of 17 corners and of course is an original circuit on tarmac. It's a mid-speed for BOP with a number of low, high and medium speed corners. The back straight is the longest straight here, just at 0.5 miles, or I think that is 0.8 kilometres. I think the conversion's right. But built as a Grand Prix circuit, hence the GP name in GP section in its name. This circuit has got several different configurations that it could run. Obviously, we've got the East and West and Central, and then new to this game, we've got the East End and West End added to the game. And of course, you can run each of them backwards. So there are, I think, 12 different layouts of Lago that we could indeed run. And it's a track that is very popular, I think, with a number of drivers, some of which have said that it's their favourite original circuit on the game. Let me know, guys, if those watching it live, is Lago your favourite made-up circuit? Is there another one that beats it? And what's your favourite layout of Lago that's not the full course? Do you prefer the East, the Central, or the West End of the circuit? I think each have their advantages. And there we go. The grids are in. The top 3 from Lobby B made it into Lobby A, which means Auto is on pole position for Lobby B. Three Arix drivers made it into the top 10 for Lobby A. Falcon drivers into the top 6. So yeah, drivers will now be moving over to each lobby, and we can set the grid. And so we're in that phase now where drivers will be making their way over from Lobby A into Lobby B and vice versa. You can see drivers already starting to fill the grid. Fans in the chat for FGR, it may be Lobby B, but nevertheless. Well, good result in Lobby B is better than no result at all. I think it is 12 points for a win in Lobby B, and they could be crucial points later on in the championship. Annoyingly, I've got the chat up on my screen and it's covering all the buttons in the bottom left hand corner, so I cannot see custom grid. There we go. We can start getting drivers into their grid position. So making it to pole position in Lobby B is Auto with a 54-1. Two drivers with a 54-1, and it's going to be Hollywood to start on the front row of the grid alongside him. FGR Rupee starts in third place, if I can find him. He starts in third with Badabig in fourth. Sorry, I'm just a little bit confused as to who is supposed to be starting in fifth, because the driver that's been put in fifth isn't actually here. Apologies. We will get back to that in a minute. This is where I need like a co-commentator to fill the silence whilst I get the grid up. So we'll get back to that in a minute. Anomina is in 6th place for Aero. Then it's Ryan in 7th. Ramster in 8th, already in position. Latari in 9th. Whack into 10th. Knockback in what have I done wrong? Oh no, sorry, Thunderdome in 11th, Knockback in 12th. Yannick in 13th and FG Aura in 14th because he had a quality ban or didn't set a lap. I saw someone say it in the chat earlier and I cannot remember. I saw a friend request come through. I did accept that. I should not be trusted with making custom grids. So, just let's run through the grid once again. Auto is on pole, Hollywood in 2nd, Rupee in 3rd, Badabig is in 4th, then we've got someone who's not supposed to be here in 5th, so Anomina would be in 5th, Ryan in 6th, Ramster in 7th, Latari in 8th, Whack in 9th, Thunderdome in... Sorry, no, Latari in 8th, Whack in 9th, Thunderdome in 10th, Knockback in 11th, Yannick in 12th, and Aura in 13th. It's hard to read through a grid when the numbers don't match up where they're starting because of the timing sheets that I've been sent. So we are good to go soon. I believe everyone's ready. Apologies, that wasn't the smoothest of transitions. Just going to have a sip to drink because I can already feel that this race is going to be action-packed. And if everyone's ready, I think we can get this one underway fairly soon. Unless anyone has any objections as to why we should go racing. And yeah, everyone's ready, so I think we can get this race started. Starting a race is the worst because there's always some driver who has a weak bladder, needs to pee. Come back, we'll start the race and they're stationary on the grid and then you get the blame for it. But I think everyone's ready to go. Let's get this race underway then for 35 laps of Lago Maggiore. The lights begin to count down as the clouds have declined. 35 laps, 13 drivers, and we go racing here at Lago Maggiore for the Italian Grand Prix. It's a good start from Auto on pole position. There's a Spider GT driver. That's Ramster darting his way down into the inside, up into 3rd place. Now up into 2nd place. Ramster swooping his way around the outside of Hollywood, down in towards turn 2. Contact as Ramster's been forced wide up the track. Another driver running wide. They're 3 wide behind. Hollywood on the middle of Badder Big and Rupee, who's going to try and dart his way around the outside of the apex driver. Couple of drivers sideways on the exit of turn 4, but they've all survived the first sector as Auto leads them down the hill in towards turn 5. Little bit of contact up in front, that's car off, it's the pole sitter. Auto's off at turn 5, and I think there was contact, more contact behind as someone's been sent spinning round as Yannick is off the track and into the grass, rejoins at the back of the pack as Ramster takes the lead of the race, making his way through the S's ahead of Hollywood, ahead of Badder Big are your top 3. Rounding out the top 4 with the 2 FTR drivers side by side through the S's with Aura from the back of the pack, already into 7th place, ahead of his teammate Rupee. Behind him, Thunderdome on the inside of Knockback, who's made his way inside the top 10. Can he go one better down the inside, in towards the hairpin? Yes, he can. Early on the power, the GTR and the M6 going to run side by side up the hill. The German on the inside of the South African, who will try and hold it round the outside. Ryan trying to get involved on this and help his teammate in any way he can. Dirt being kicked up as they run wide through the corner, and Ryan now up into 9th place. Knockback knocked outside the top 10. But a disastrous start from Auto, who's now just running inside the top 5, having started on pole position, but he's going down the inside of Anomina, sliding his way through the final corner, but up into 4th place goes the Audi R8, and Ramster now leads the field away across the line to start the second lap of 35 here at Lago. The top 3 close together on the racetrack, with Ramster leading Hollywood ahead of Badder Big. Behind, Aura's already got himself up into 6th place and hunting down Anomina for a space inside the top 5. There's a car round, and it's Badder Big on the exit of turn 4, and he spent spinning in the wrong direction, rejoins down outside the top 8 and into 10th place. A disaster from the Dutchman, who's now going to drop to 12th as by the time they get to turn 5. And already we've had cars off and wide and dropping from pole position. We've only done 2.5 laps of racing here at Lago. But whilst we're at a relatively calm phase in the race, let's get a replay of the start. A brilliant start from Ramster, who darts his way down towards the inside of a couple of cars, in towards the first corner, behind Anomina going round the outside of that's Ryan on the inside. I think that's Wack being forced a little bit wide in the background as well. But as we make our way down through turn 4, what happened to our pole sitter that led the first 4 corners? Oh, he dipped a wheel on the grass into the braking zone and grazes the barrier on the left-hand side, and that's how he dropped down to 5th place and outside the top 3. He now finds himself in 3rd place, with Aura now up into 4th place, having got past Anomina. But a couple of cars towards the back, that's Latari that's had a spin. I think that was through turn 7. The Aston Martin now runs behind Ryan in 13th place. But Ramster leads this race in the Honda NSX. Or from the back of the pack, already up to 4th place after 3 laps of racing. And he's got plenty more to try and get himself up into the lead of this race in that Toyota Supra. Could be on course for a decent haul of points here tonight. His teammate running in 6th place. We'll be looking to try and follow him through. Car between the 2 FTR drivers running in 4th and 5th place. That's a save and a half from Rupee through the turn 6, 7, 8 complex. But he's now going to be under pressure from Wack, who's going to look to go round the outside through turn 10. Pulls alongside the Nissan and now ahead as they go down the back straight for the 3rd time tonight, and it makes the overtake before they get to the braking zone of turn 11. but back up to the battle for the final spot on the podium. Lap 3, the battle for third place. Autos ran a little bit wide. Aura's going to walk through the open door on the inside and move up into third place. The German now into the podium position, but Auto's not going to give this one up without a fight, but just has to concede that position for now. From the back of the pack up to third, from 13th to third, we're on lap 3, and that's a 5/10 penalty for the driver in fourth. Auto picking up a track limits penalty, which he will have to serve on the exit of turn 10 on this lap. Contact between Rupi and Wack as the German tries to go down the inside of the Brits down towards the first corner, but Wack holds on to and maintains the position for now. Rupi losing the position to the Project Racing United driver after losing the rear of the car through turn 7. And Wack got the move done down the back straight before they got to the braking zone of turn 10. Rupi will try his best to try and get that position back and make up for the mistake. Speaking of mistakes, one's been made down towards the first corner. What happened between these two drivers? Was there contact? No, just a mistake. And that's a knockback off and in the barrier. As we just saw the end of that, Rupi going round the outside of Wack through the S's, and he's now up into 6th place. Just about missed the start of that overtake, but he's up into the top 6. Two of the FGR drivers now running strong into the top 3 for Aura, hunting down the two leaders. 1 second now between him and Hollywood. FGR with 2 drivers inside the top 6. Apex with 2 drivers inside the top 8. Can they get 2 drivers inside the top 7? Because Thunderdome is putting Wack under pressure through the final sector. Bada Big's done well to catch up to these guys. He's only 3 seconds behind after his spin on the second lap of this race down at turn 4. We're on board with Thunderdome as he eye-ups a move on that Nissan GTR down towards turn 1, but he's not quite close enough to go for the move. He's just going to bide his time. 20 laps left in this race, and of course it could all be determined by a mistake or on the strategy. Tyre wear around this track is not the worst, but it certainly isn't the best. The front tyres tend to wear more than the rears, just due to the high-speed corners at this track, and a number of heavy braking zones. Turn 5 being one of them. But the gap out in front is 7/10 of a second between Rampster and Hollywood. It was a tricky race for Hollywood in Deep Forest. Struggled to get inside the top 5, but is running strong in the top 2 here tonight at Lago. The M6, I think, will be a decent car here with its decent front end grip. The Supra, of course, I think is going to be the car of choice for tonight. It dominates the daily race ads during this week. Daily race B, of course, is round this circuit. And the Toyota is the preferred manufacturer of choice in that one. But of course, we have a little bit of tuning to these cars to improve the setup. But Aura has already closed down that 1.5 second gap to just 7/10 of a second to Hollywood in front. As the top 5 run in single file down and towards the first corner for the 6th time this evening. Fastest lap at the minute is a 1 minute 53.6. That is set by Aura as he's on a charge through the field, having been demoted from Lobby A, having not set a lap time, starting from the back of the grid. Bada Big though wasn't at the back of the grid, got sent to the back of the grid when he made a mistake at this very corner 4 laps ago. And we're looking to build on that and try and carve his way back through the field. Racing for the Project Platypus team. He's got a good run through turn 5. Can he try and make something here on the inside for turn 6? He's alongside the M6, down and towards turn 6 on lap 6, but he's up into 8th place. If he was only making the move for 6th place, that would have been perfect. Took a lot of curb on the inside. I was going to say, took a little bit too much, and once he just got the position, he might lose it, because he's got a 1 second time penalty, and I'm not sure he's particularly happy about that. As he shows his frustration with a little bit of weaving down the back straight. In front of him, Wack did serve his 5/10th penalty, which brings the Dutchman closer to a spot inside the top 7, but with a 1 second penalty, he looks to lose his 8th place on the next lap. The gap between Aero and Hollywood, just 7/10 of a second. The gap between himself and the race leader, Ramster, is 2 seconds here at the end of lap 6. The Dane controlling this race from the front as things stand, having started this race, I think, in 6th place. Done well to quickly get to the front of the grid. But it's not been a plain sailing for him in the opening 7 laps of this race. Hollywood and Aura have been keeping him close for company behind. Auto's not too far behind them either, only 4.5 seconds off the race leader. Back down to the battle for 7th place. Bada Big trying to find a way past Wack. They all ran wide on the exit of turn 4. I don't think track limits are heavily policed on the outside of that corner, so drivers can use all the curb and a little bit more. Wack's gone a little bit wide through turn 5. That opens the door for Bada Big to have a look on the inside, and with a great traction on the exit, moves his way up into 7th place. He's only going to keep it though for 4 more corners. Through the S's they go, and on the exit of these S's, he's going to have to serve a 1 second time penalty, which may demote him down 2 places into 9th place. Thunderdome, though, has not had the best of Sector 2s. This could be close between the Dutchman and the South African. Wack does get the position back up into 7th place, but Thunderdome is not quite close enough to retain 8th place off Bada Big, who holds that position for now and will have to work extra hard to get that position back from Wack and move up into 7th place. Whilst one FBR driver is hunting down about 2nd place, the other is trying to move his way up into the top 5. Rupee on the back of a Nomino, only 5/10 separating the Nissan GTR and the Porsche 911. As they make their way down the start-finish straight once again, looking for a move in towards the first corner, but he's not quite close enough to send it into the left-hander at turn 1, but he might try and poke a bumper on the inside for turn 2, but decided to back out of that one. Meanwhile, further up the road, Auto's got a time penalty, presumably for track limits, as the front tyres on that Supra are beginning to fade. I believe most drivers, if not all of them, are on the red stripe soft compound tyre for this opening stint. Aura's last few lap times have been quick and competitive, quicker than the car in front. Hollywood just beginning to struggle. The gap between him and the race leader has opened up to 2.4 seconds. Ramster beginning to pull away with this one. As Auto will slow down to serve his time penalty, Hollywood pulls over to the middle of the circuit to defend that inside line from Aura, but he's not going to be close enough to go for a move down towards turn 11. Meanwhile, whilst that's been happening, there's been a change of position for 5th place. Phenomena not with the best of exits through turn 5, taking a little bit too much inside curb, unsettling the car. Rupee's going to try and swoop his way round the outside through the S's, and that's how the FBR driver moved up into the top 5, and that's a great overtake from him. think Aura has only got 1 or 2 laps left in those soft compound tyres. We might see him dive into the pits at the end of this lap, which may not be much of a bad thing. The undercut, of course, is as powerful as ever. We do have a driver into the pits. That's Thunderdome in from 9th place. Ryan gets moved up into 9th. The BMW coming into pit lane to be serviced for a fresh set of tyres and fuel to go into the back of that BMW M6 as his teammate follows him in. But Ramster's done well to save those front tyres, especially the NSX wearing the rears more than the front, so that's gonna benefit him in the long run during this stint, which may be coming to an end fairly soon, because of course the fuel only lasts about 15 to 20 minutes in the opening stint. These drivers only having half a tank to start the race with. But it's encouraging for Ramster that he's got good tyre wear compared to the BMW behind him. It's almost like the fronts and the rears are reversed in terms of the wear load on those tyres. And the strategy in the last 2 races has been particularly interesting, especially last week at Autopolis. We had drivers staying out, drivers pitting early. Quite a diverse range of tyre strategy. Drivers diving into the pits though. The top 3 are in. Auto retakes the lead of the race, having started on pole position, but of course is staying out for another lap. He's joined by Rupee and Nomina. Battered Big now up into the top 4. Wack also staying out, as does Ryan. So let's see what tyres and fuel the leaders go on to. It's softs for Ramster. Aura's only going in for a splash and dash for the soft compound tyres, but it's mediums for Hollywood and Ramster, who have both fueled for that medium compound stint. No, correction, Hollywood has fueled for the stint. Ramster has fueled for the rest of the race, perhaps. That's a full tank of fuel in that Honda NSX. The race leaders, of course, those who have stayed out for an extra lap, low on fuel, will be coming into the pits in the next couple of laps, and at risk of an undercut for those who pitted the lap before. And so this is the stage of the race, the beginning of where all these drivers begin to split their strategies, where they opt to go for different tyres and different levels of fuel. That opens up the gaps that didn't form during the first stint. But as we enter the second stint, that's when drivers tend to run their own race. But then the pack begins to come back together for the final few laps as they all converge back in on one another. Anomina stays out for another lap as the pole sitter Auto Rachelon is into the pits. Rupee and Bada Big follow him in, as does Wack from 5th, Ryan from 6th, and then that means Aura will move up into 2nd place, having started from the back. And because Anomina is yet to make a pit stop, it's the net race lead for the FBR driver. It's taken him 11 laps, pretty much, to go from last to first. Oh, well, that's close on pit exit for Ramster and Rupee battling for 5th place. Rupee's caught up so much to the back of the Dane. It's full fuel and mediums for Ramster, half a tank and softs for Rupee. Rupee's going to have a lot more grip than Ramster being on those soft compound tyres. Auto's also come out of the pits ahead of the Spider GT driver, as he might lose the position to the FBR driver, who's going to try and go right round the outside here at turn 6. The battle for 5th place on lap 11. They're still side by side, door to door, nearly sideways for the GTR as they continue to go wheel to wheel through the S's, through the 9 and the right-hander of turn 10. Rupee on the inside, Ramster's going to try and hold it round the outside. It's a drag race to turn 11, which Rupee wins initially. Ramster pulls over, dives down the inside, makes contact with the GTR, but moves up into the top 5. We're on board with Rupee's Nissan GTR as they climb the hill through turn 12, the right-hander of turn 13. And that was brilliant. Wheel-to-wheel action between these two drivers. Ramster on those mediums, not giving this one up without a fight. Rupee trying his best to try and find a way past the Honda NSX. But Ramster doing his best to defend that position as they make their way now through the final corner. Thunderdome's left. These two are going now side by side down the start-finish straight once again between Rupee and Ramster. But it's Rupee who's late on the brakes and down the inside and up into 5th place. As things stand, they run 25 seconds behind the race leader, who stays out for another lap. Onomina, he done the same thing last week at Autopolis. He stayed out for several laps longer than the cars around him. Everyone else has made a pit stop via the Aero GT driver, but I think he will be into the pits. There goes my controller at the end of this lap. I got really confused there while we were looking inside the cockpit of another Porsche 911. But of course, that was an accident. Or now 9 seconds behind Onomina, the provisional race leader. Well, the net race leader, I should say, for Onomina, who has just set a new fastest lap of this race, a 53 flat. That's quicker than what we had in qualifying, I believe. I just want to get my facts right. That is quicker than the pole time in Lobby A. Aura is flying as Onomina comes into the pits. That's an unbelievable lap time from Aura, who is looking to extend his lead in this race. The gap, 12.8 seconds between himself and Hollywood. We're on lap 13. Aura started 13th, but he has a 13-second lead in this race. Incredible pace from the FBR driver. The other FGR driver of Rupee running in 4th place. He's jumped Ramster in the pits, hunting down Auto for space inside the top 3. Bada Biggs had a decent recovery, now up into 6th place, having span on lap 2. And he'll be looking to try and get past Ramster whilst he's on those fresh soft compound tyres. Closest battle out on track is the battle for 2nd place between Hollywood Auto and Rupee, and not too far behind them is Ramster and Bada Big. Here comes Rupee already down the inside of Auto, cameraman getting a bit lazy. We now cut to the shots between these two drivers side by side. They touch wheels through turn 15. Rupi now though up into third place. We got a terrible camera angle of that. Let's ride on board with Rupi, who's now on the inside. There's the contact between the two. Auto running wide and off the track. And drops down into fourth place. Behind though, side by side, Bada Big down the inside of Ramster, up into top, into fifth place, but can Ramster squeeze his way through on the inside? Bada Big with the better traction on those soft compound tyres moves up into fifth place, and now he starts the charge. The 2-second gap between himself and Auto. This train of cars, it's not for the lead because the lead is already 15 seconds clear of the battle for second place. But we're not too far off the halfway stage in this race, and it's Aero who leads Hollywood with Rupi in third, 2 FGR drivers on the podium as things stand. Auto in fourth and Bada Big rounding out the top 5. Wack is looking to try and close down that gap to a nomina in the battle for 7th place as they make their way down the back straight in towards the banked hairpin of turn 11. A nomina leading in this battle, but Wack is on the soft compound tyres and has been slowly closing that gap to a nomina, and we'll be looking to try and make an overtake sooner rather than later. Speaking of, we have a change of position for second place, and it's Rupi getting past Hollywood, but how did he do it? And this is how he done it. Pulled over to the inside of the track, late on the brakes, and down the inside up into second place, and it's now an FGR 1-2 here for the Italian Grand Prix at Lago Maggiore. Or though with a 17-second lead, having started from the back. There's no questioning his pace tonight. Meanwhile, we've got a change of position for 7th place, and it's Wack getting past a nomina who's been sliding through the final corner constantly in this race in that Porsche. He tries to cover the inside going in towards turn 1, but Wack runs alongside in towards the first corner, late on the brakes, down the inside. And that's Wack up into 7th place. Bada Big's closed up that gap to 4th place, now only 8 tenths between the two. The Audi R8 leading the Nissan GTR, but Auto is on those medium compound tyres, Bada Big on the softs, and has been setting some very quick and competitive lap times the last couple of laps. Recently got past Ramster down towards turn 1. We'll be looking to try and get past Auto Rachelon when he catches up to the back of that Audi R8. But Auto still running a good race, having made a mistake on the opening lap, which dropped him down into 5th place, having started from pole position. Fastest lap of this race has already beaten both pole positions from Lobby A and Lobby B. FGR Aura is flying for the FGR team. Speaking of, FGR are currently leading this race 1 and 2. But there are several different teams running inside the top 8. Auto waving the flag for Project Racing United. Bada Big, the Project Platypus driver in Lobby B, Rapster, the only Spider GT driver in Lobby B, but of course they only have 2 drivers, well, fielded 2 drivers tonight. As WAC has begun to extend that gap to Anomina now, 2.3 seconds separating those two. But we'll watch Anomina's progress in the second half of this race, because he will be going off of those medium compound tyres later on, perhaps for a faster set of softs, whilst the others are on the mediums. We are on board with Bada Big as he looks to close down that gap to 4th place to just 0.4 of a second, and has done a pretty good recovery drive so far in this race. He was facing backwards on the exit of turn 4 on lap 2, and he's already back up into the top 5, looking at a chance to finish on the podium. But of course it's so hard to tell where the drivers are respective to one another on their different strategies. Of course, some drivers gained by pitting for softs and low fuel, others have gone backwards pitting for a full tank of fuel and gone for the mediums instead. But of course they'll get the advantage in the pit stops for the second during the second pit stop window, and we'll be lapping quicker towards the end of this race. So drivers like Ramster, I think we need to keep an eye on, because he's gone for the mediums and a full tank, whereas all the drivers in front of him are on a low tank of fuel and primarily the softs. Auto went for low fuel and mediums, so still has to refuel in his next stint, but he's dropped the rear of the car through turn 9 and pirouette back onto the apex of turn 10 before clattering the rear wing into the barrier. And a mistake that sends the pole sitter spinning into a cloud of smoke outside the top 5 and into 7th place. He might lose one more to Anomina down the back straight. The Porsche closing down in towards turn 11, but he might just keep 7th place by the time they get to the braking zone. And another costly mistake for the driver that started on pole. He might lose another position as the rear wing repairs itself 30 seconds after the damage, but Anomina has that momentum up the hill through the middle sector he goes, but he's not going to be close enough into the final couple of corners. Unfortunately, we just about see the end of this spin for Anomina that sent him round on lap 17 and into the barrier. That mistake will probably be playing on his mind, as well as the one that he made on the first lap of the race. Meanwhile, that opens the door for Bada Big to now close the gap down to those inside the top 3. To try and promote himself up into a podium position, having started this race in 4th, I believe. Currently now runs in 4th and has made up a lot of time, has set very quick lap times, 55.8 on the last lap, 56.0 for Hollywood. They're not quite lapping as quick as the front 2, who have been on fire in this race, but we might see our race leader into the pits at the end of this lap as he begins to run low on fuel. The tyre wear begins to kick in, but the lap times remain to continue to be quick. Indeed, he does pull into the pits at the end of lap 18. Meanwhile, we have a 3-way fight for 6th place between WAC, Anomina and Auto. The drivers in 5th, 6th and 6th, 7th and 8th. The two Project Racing United teammates nearly make contact down towards turn 15. They keep it clean for now. But as they go through the final corner, it's Wack that leaves Auto. He tries to go for a move down the inside. They run side by side now through the final corner. In the long run down in towards turn 1, it's Auto on the inside. Wack on the outside, but he concedes the position. Auto's now up into 4th place. And the race leader, Aura, comes out in 5th place. And we've got a car off on the exit of turn 4. That's Yannick dropping it on the curb. We can get a replay on the board with the Porsche 911 to see exactly what happened. And just dipped a wheel on the grass between the curb and the Astro. And that's what sent the car spinning. Yannick opting for the hard compound tyres, going long in this stint. Auto's wide, he's in the wall. And he's going to lose a position to Wack. He's going to lose a position for Anomina. But the mistakes are clocking in for the pole sitter. Wack one's wide, he's in the gravel and he loses 2 positions. It is all kicking off in the battle for 6th place. But let's find out what happened to Auto. Let's ride on board inside the cockpit of the Audi R8. Already had a snap with the dirty tyres on the inside for turn 8. Then on the inside of turn 9. Completely loses it on the inside curb. But in a minute you'll see Wack go through on the outside. But then 5 seconds later, the Nissan GTR just runs a little bit too wide on the power, a little bit too soon, and gets sent back down into 7th place. Plenty of drama here at the Italian Grand Prix. Quite a few mistakes being made, drivers perhaps pushing a little bit too hard to try and make up for lost time. Auto already, he's made what I'd call 3 major mistakes in this race. Dipping a wheel onto the grass in the run down towards turn 5, a spin at turn 7, and a wobble through turn 9. And there's another one to add to the list at the same corner he made on lap 1, and he's done it again. It's deja vu for the Project Racing United driver. And that's more damage to the rear of his car. What's going wrong for the Audi R8? It's gone from bad to worse. He was determined to try and make his debut in Lobby A this season. Narrowly missed out and started this race on pole position, but it's been downhill since the lights went out. And well, as the sun begins to shine, it's certainly a cloudy day for our pole sitter. The Audi R8 proving to be a handful here at Lago Maggiore. Bada Bigno now under pressure from Ramster as those front tyres have begun to fall off the cliff. But he will do no more laps on those tyres. Ramster into the pits as well. Ramster's in a really good position. He's only 5/10 off the drivers in front of him with 40 litres of fuel and on a medium set of compound tyres. Is he going to finish this race on the soft? Hollywood now gets promoted into the lead of the race. Ruby's out in 5th. Ramster's out in 6th. Badabig continues to refuel. This could be close on the exit between him and Ryan, who just about gets up into 7th place. But whilst Ruby fits the mediums, Ramster fits the softs. Only 3.5 seconds between the two. We'll wait to see that gap begin to close between those two drivers. But Rupi has the pace, certainly. We've seen it before. but there's no underestimating Routster, who is another very quick driver who's capable of setting very quick lap times. We've got a car off at turn 1, and it's Yannick. It's gone bad to worse for the driver on debut. It's out of the pit lane, and I don't think, looks like a brake failure for the German. No brake input whatsoever, and that is very unfortunate for him. Meanwhile, Hollywood stays out for another lap. He's got the tyres, he's got the fuel to keep setting lap times, but having made 2 stops already in this race, or is already 4.5 seconds behind Hollywood, and is set to comfortably win this race. Car number 290 trying his best to keep that gap as big as he can to car number 424 behind him. Ramster on those fresh soft compound tyres, looking to close down that gap as quickly as he can before his tyres begin to wear and fade. Hollywood is your race leader. Anomina in 3rd place is yet to make his 2nd stop. Otto continues to run in 4th, but does need to make another pit stop in this race, and you do have to feel bad for him. Feels like every time we've got the camera on him, he's made some sort of mistake. We'll spare him another lap or 2 and watch the battle for 7th place between Brian and Bada B. One on a fresh set of medium compound tyres, the other having done several laps on those tyres, more than 10 I believe, on the Lamborghini Huracan, trying to stay ahead of the Nissan GTR. The Dutch driver on a charge tries to look right down the inside at turn 12. Not turn 12, that's turn 13. But I think Ryan will be into the pits at the end of this lap. He's got Bada Big though on his inside, which will make coming into the pits difficult. I only thought he'd be coming into the pits because his fuel light is on. And so he's only got 1 or 2 laps of fuel left in the car, and I thought he was going to send it down the inside, but he slowed the car down in time to not cause a massive accident into the first corner. Bada Big up into 7th place and can now try to work on closing down to 6 seconds to Routster in front. We're on lap 23 of 35 here at Lago Maggiore for the ALR Esports League Season 4, Round 4. And we are 44 minutes of the way into this race. Another 25 to go, I believe. And so strap yourselves in for a show-stopping end to this race. I think our race leader, our race winner is pretty much set in stone, but never say never. It's not over until you cross the start-finish line, or the finish line in the last lap of the race. And see that checkered flag. Anything can happen in the world of motorsports. Rupi's caught up to the back of Auto now into the pits, off of the medium compound tyres, and I think we'll finish this race on a set of red striped softs. Ryan follows him in. We're down to 12 drivers in this race. A couple of them haven't quite made it to the checkered flag, and some didn't quite make it to the grid. Auto leaves the pits in 8th place, but Latari for the Apex team hasn't pitted in 7th place, and we'll have to make another pit stop in this race. Meanwhile, Yannick runs at the back of the pack in 12th place. Looks like he might have his brakes fixed, or I think that's... We might have his brakes fixed. Back in 11th place is only 4 seconds behind Ryan, but unfortunately for him, Ryan's just come out of the pits. And I think Knockback is yet to make a pit stop. To the front of the field, and now Hollywood has been caught by Aura in the battle for the lead of the race. But I think we're going to see the race leader diving into the pit lane. No, we're not. I'm going to be proved wrong. Whilst there's fuel left in the tank, the M6 will continue to set laps round this circuit on those tyres. Aura, though, on a fresh set of medium compound tyres, should make light work of this move down in towards turn 5 perhaps. Behind them though, Rampster looking to try and move his way up into 4th place as he's caught the back of Rupi already. Up to the race leaders though, Hollywood, will he defend the battle for the lead of the race in towards turn 5, or not quite close enough to go for the move? As Rampster is looking closely at the back of that Nissan GTR, now looking at the side of the GTR, nearly making a move in towards turn 4, sorry. Now down the back straight in towards turn 5, Rupi defensive to the inside, but Rampster has found a little bit of gap, had a look, but couldn't quite make the move stick. Now back up to the front too, Hollywood defending from Aura, who pulls over to the right hand side of the track, the left hand side of your screen. He's late on the brakes, he's down the inside, and he's back up into the lead of the race. Hollywood tried to defend for as long as he could, but on those warm medium tyres it was inevitable that the German would find a way through sooner rather than later. And the Nomina has been caught by the other FGR driver, who's bringing Rampster along with him. The Dane on a fresh set of soft compound tyres, Rupi on a fresh set of the medium compound tyres. Rampster's going to have the advantage in the first half of this stint, but Rupi will gain back time later as those softs begin to fade. Hollywood though comes into the pit at the end of lap 25. This could be close between him and these 3 drivers. Of course, the Nomina is yet to make a pit stop, but Rupi and Rampster do not need to pit again. I think they're going to get the jump on the Apex driver as the Nomina pulls into the pits. These two race down in towards the first corner, past the pit lane exit and ahead of Hollywood. But Rupi leads Rampster down in towards turn 1. We've got, I thought there were yellow flags, it's blue flags for Yannick as Aura now moves his way past the lap car. 21 seconds clear. Hollywood 5.6 seconds off of a podium position, but on soft compound tyres with 10 laps to go. I would put him in the book as or in the hat, sorry, for a chance at a podium position. If these two fight hard, which they are doing, they might lose enough time for the Apex driver to catch up. Rupi forced to go defensive in towards the S's, the complex of turns 6, 7 and 8. How's your straight line speed in the Honda NSX? He's got a great run through turn 10. Is it good enough? He tucks up behind the slipstream. He darts over to the inside. Late on the brakes. Up into second place. Rupi's going to try the old up and under and the switcheroo. Back up into second place. And Ramster tried to attack, but Rupi fought back. As Ramster darts over to the inside, he sends it late on the brakes, and that's a beautiful overtake up into second place. And can now look to try and pull away from the German. And I'm not sure what he's going to say about that 22-second gap to Aero. And whilst he's not looked like making any mistakes in this race, there is still the chance for a slip-up from the race leader. It's unlikely. More chance of pigs flying. But we'll have to wait and see. Rupi going a bit deep in towards turn 1. He's lost about 3-4 tenths to Ramster. Now 1.2 seconds is the gap between him and second place, as Hollywood is closing that gap down to 3.6 seconds on a set of soft compound tyres. Could be in for a shout of a top 3 finish. And look at that, Badder Big. He's on a charge as well. He's only 3 seconds behind Hollywood. 6 seconds off a podium. I think the Project Platypus driver could be in for a shout here. I wouldn't count him out. But I think the eyes are now on this battle for third place between Ramster, Rupi and Hollywood. We'll have to wait and see how Ramster decides to play the final couple of laps in this race. Does he choose to burn those soft compound tyres out now to try and pull out a gap to Rupi? Or does he decide to save those tyres, which will cost him lap time and keep Rupi in the fight for second place, but have a fighting chance later to defend that position where we reach the crossover point between the softs and the mediums, which would of course come later on in the stints, depending on how quickly or not Ramster decides to go through those tyres. Like, there's someone that's run very wide and off the track through the final corner. I think that was Yannick getting out of the way for the leaders making their way through the final sector. And they're now down the start-finish straight. It's Ramster that leads Rupi as they go into turn 1 for the 28th time tonight. The gap behind now, 2.6 seconds. Hollywood is closing that gap up to the top 3. He's closed the gap to... No, apologies, I was going to say he's closed the gap to the race leader, but he has not. Still 27 seconds and has pulled out. Is lapping quicker. There's a car round in the background. It's Yannick, who's not having a great day in the office. I thought it was one of the guys inside the top 7. Unfortunately for those guys, it's not a position on the racetrack. But Rupi's continuing to put Ramster under pressure here at Lago Maggiore, lap 28 of 35. And this is the closest battle out on track, the only battle out on track. We've got a car round. Don't tell me it's the Audi R8. It's not the Audi R8. It is the Audi R8. It's Auto Rachelon with another spin in the middle sector. Let's give it a listen. As he dipped 2 wheels onto the grass, he tried to save it, but overcorrected and ends up spinning through turn 10 into the barrier and collecting front bumper damage. His day goes from bad to worse to one to forget about. Having started from pole position, we're still on course to finish in 7th place. And it's quite reminiscent of Oliver Behrman's race from Interlagos last year. It's just every time the camera's on him, he's in the grass, off the track. We've got another car round at the final corner. Don't tell me it's him again. It is. It's Auto round once again. This time he sustained heavy damage to the front and rear of the car. Oh no, I feel like I should save him from these replays, but what happened? It's hard to tell whether if he's driving the Audi or if the Audi's driving him. It looks such a handful through that final corner, through every medium speed corner. He just seems to have no grip in the car. Whether it's something to do with the setup that's gone wrong, maybe too much front end grip, creating an imbalance between the front tyres and the rear, just creating an over rotation in the car. That's what it seems to be. The rear end just not playing ball with how Auto wants to drive the car. But back up to the battle for 2nd place. Ramster's defensive in towards turn 13. He's off the track. He nearly loses the car, dipping 2 wheels onto the gravel. But here comes Hollywood as well. He's caught up to the battle for 2nd place. And I said it on lap 10, the gaps will naturally open in the first stint. But as the race draws to a close, the gaps will begin to close. And I saw this on the map. Another of many incidents to add to Auto's list. His day is certainly one to forget. I hear he's round again. He is round again. As he rejoins the track in 10th place. I saw someone asking where Thunderdome is. He retired early on in the race, somewhere around the end of the first stint, I think 15 laps into the race. I'd love to hear from Auto after the race where it all went wrong. Don't tell me that's him off at the final corner. Oh, it is. He's off again. Let's give this a listen. That car just looked an absolute handful to drive. Every time we're watching it, there seems to be so much over rotation on the front. The rear just not gripping to the tarmac. I'd love to ask if it was a setup choice to try and get more straight line speed, to sacrifice a bit of cornering and rear grip. Five laps to go here at the Italian Grand Prix. Our closest battle on track is the battle for 2nd place, but we've also got a battle for 7th between Ryan and Wack Jamps in the lower end of the points. Of course, every point is crucial for each team trying to qualify for the final 2 races of the season. Hollywood, though, on those fresh soft compound tyres, is caught up to the back of Rupy. He was once attacking Ramster. He's now defending from Hollywood. That's allowed Ramster to get a bit of breathing space between himself and Rupy. Badovic's just fallen off this battle for 5th place. His lap times haven't been slow. Hollywood's just been quicker on those soft compound tyres, but if these guys begin to battle and hold each other up, could bring the Dutchman into this fight for a spot on the podium. Hollywood's closed up right up to the back of Rupee through the turn 11 hairpin. He might find himself challenging down in towards turn 13 if he's close enough. Rupee sees the threat, he goes defensive, pulls off the racing line. By the time they get to the braking zone, Hollywood, looking on the inside, just backs out of it. Doesn't want to cause a collision this late on in the race. Someone's round at turn 5. I don't want to press the button, but I want to see who it is. It's not Auto, it's Yannick. I was going to say one more spin for the poor fella. Would be terrible for him. Hollywood sends it late on the brakes, down the inside and up into 3rd place. Is that a move to promote the Apex driver onto the podium? It's a move that got him there, and let's see once again how he done it. Riding on board, tucked up nicely in the slipstream, down the start-finish straight, across the line. He's so far back, but he sends it late on the brakes. It's bold on the brakes, and he's up into 3rd place. I fear the move is not done and dusted though, because Rupee will fight back through the turn 6, 7, 8 complex in sector 2. We've got another car off in sector 3. It is, I thought it was the race leader, but instead it is Yannick who's struggling to get back onto the racing line, but pulling off the racing line. Hollywood weaving to break the toe from Rupee behind. He's got the gap 5, 6, 7 tenths between the two, the gap growing by the second as they approach the hairpin at turn 11. One of the best corners in this game, I think it's a driver's favourite round of this circuit. It's one of the key corners that feels the identity of this track. The elevation change and the bank corner. At that corner there is a battle for 11th place, but Yannick is several laps down. Some people are saying that they hate the hairpin. I think it's a bit like Marmite. I think some people love it, some people hate it. It is it's quite an important corner to get right as it leads you up the hill through turn 12 and 13. But I think the track as a whole is favoured by several drivers. It's a good track for testing and to create car setups, as it does offer a bit of everything: elevation change, straights, low, medium, high speed corners. There's a car round once again in the middle sector. Someone has gone off. It's the Audi R8 who now built his way up to speed. Yellow flags for the 3 drivers battling for 2nd place. Hollywood's caught up to the back of Ramster with 3 laps to go here at the Italian Grand Prix. Hollywood looks to pull over to the inside for the hairpin, but he doesn't decide to send it. But what a great run he's got. He's pushed Ramster wide off the track. He rejoins in the path of Hollywood. Through goes Rupee on the outside, up into 2nd place. Hollywood concedes the position to Ramster, which might have sealed the fate from Rupee to finish in the top 2. Contact between the 2 drivers. We'll watch that once again on board with Hollywood. Had so much more grip through turn 11 and he bumps Ramster off the track. That allows Rupee to go through. Hollywood lifting off the throttle to concede the position, but he's back on the attack through the final corner. They run side by side, door to door. It's neck and neck over the line to start the penultimate lap of the race. Hollywood down the inside into turn 1 and now up into 3rd place. Ramster gives him a taste of his own medicine, forces Hollywood off, and he's in the barrier. Drama at the end of the Italian Grand Prix. Anything you can do, I can do better. Ramster punting Hollywood off at turn 2. big drama at the end of this race. Let's watch it from on board the Dane. I think the stewards might be getting involved in that particular incident that's promoted Ramster into 3rd place, demoted Hollywood down to 5th. It could go from bad to worse for the Apex driver, because Nomina might be looking to try and move his way up and now inside the top 5. And meanwhile, here comes Bada Big. Through goes Bada Big up into a podium position. And I think Ramster realises that mistake, that contact was a little bit too far. He's lifting off the throttle. He's coasting down the back straight. But he's got to be careful when conceding this position to Hollywood, because he might lose one to a Nomina. Now, I think all those that are a fan of Apex will be saying, well, that's tough because he caused that incident. But he gets back up into speed. Hollywood goes up into 4th place, and Nomina follows him through. At the end of the day, I think Ramster done the right thing in conceding that position to Hollywood. But then again, it's cost the Apex team a podium here at Lago Maggiore for Lobby B. What could have been for Hollywood. Now I need to find where Ori is on the track, because he's so far ahead. He's already started the final lap of this race. He's 31 seconds clear of the rest of the field. Nomina's trying to look down the inside of Hollywood, down towards turn 2. Here on the final lap of the race, Hollywood has the inside line for turn 3, which is going to be the outside for turn 4. They're side by side on the final lap of the race. Hollywood runs wide, but will get a good exit down the back straight in the run down towards turn 5. He pulls over to the right hand side of the track, lays on the brakes, and down the inside goes Hollywood, back up into 4th place. And I'm going to concede 5th for now, but he's got a great run, a brilliant run on the exit of turn 5. In the run on towards turn 6, Hollywood has the inside line. He defends the position. Our race leader is rounding the final corner, having started from the back of the pack. FGR Aura is going to win the Italian Grand Prix, and it's 1-2 for FGR, but the battle for 4th is yet to be decided. Hollywood defensive to the inside at turn 11. A Nomina will go wide, cut inside, and get a run up the hill through turn 12. They're side by side at the apex of 12. Now the right-hander of turn 13. Ramster in the background looking to try and capitalise on contact. Hollywood's off into the barrier. Front damage to the BMW M6. This is an opportunity now for Ramster to get back ahead of the apex driver. They've made contact twice before. Will they make contact again? As Rupee finishes in 2nd place, Badabig finishes on the podium for Project Platypus. But in this battle for 4th, it's going right down to the wire. Onumina will finish in 4th, Apex in 5th, and Ramster in 6th. What an unbelievable battle between those 3 drivers, putting on a show for us. At the end of the race, I'm nearly out of breath. Ryan will cross the line in 7th place, ahead of Wack in 8th, who couldn't quite close down the gap to the Belgium at the end. Latari will finish in 9th place for the Apex team as a knockback. Auto Rashidon and Yannick finish in 10th, 11th and 12th, and were a lap down in this race. But from the back of the pack to the front of the field, it's Aura who wins here at Lago Maggiore in dominant fashion. And there is your final grid here at Lobby B. It's an FGR 1-2 with Aura leading his teammate Rupee to the lead of this race, 32 seconds clear. Now, I don't know what the record is for the largest winning margin in the ALR Esports League, but that's certainly a contention for it. His fastest lap was fastest than the pole time in Lobby A. Unbelievable pace. But to go through the rest of the grid, Badabig rounds out the podium after spinning at turn 4, but several drivers made mistakes in this race. Onomina finished in 4th place ahead of Hollywood, rounding up the top 5, having made contact between him and Rampster on the final few laps. It's Rampster in 6th place, Ryan in 7th, Wack rounding up the top 8, Latari in 9th, Knockback in 10th. What could have been for Auto Rachelon? He started this race on pole position, but lost the lead at turn 5 with the first of many, many mistakes that saw him a lap down in 11th place. 3 laps down is Yannick in 12th, and the only driver to retire from this race, Thunderdome, in 13th. And looking at the fastest laps of the drivers, you have to feel for the pole sitter. Auto Rachelon in 11th had the 3rd fastest lap, yet finished outside the top 10. That is the action then from the Autodromo Lago Maggiore. Unfortunately, I didn't get to use my Italian in tonight's race. Maybe I'll save it for... We don't go to Montedubio or Sardinia. So no more Italian, unfortunately, and my Japanese isn't up to scratch for Tokyo next week. I've been Nathan, your commentator for tonight. I hope you guys have enjoyed the commentary and the live action on the circuit. It's an FGR 1-2. Can they keep that up next week? I think they are hoping to be in Lobby A next week. But points, nevertheless. I'll see you guys next week, where we will be racing at the Tokyo Expressway for the Japanese Grand Prix at the south counterclockwise configuration. Lobby A is in the final few laps, so tune over to them if you want to see the final bits of action over there. But I'll see you guys next week. Goodbye.